Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called Riffing on John Francis Murphy Summertime. I did this back in April, and I really love it. I'm really glad to present it to you. And I actually even thought I love it so much, I thought I'd put it up in the channel. But I think at this time I'd done a bunch of these little square, like, toneless riffing studies. This one I was very enthused with, and I'm really happy to be able to share it with you today. So I'm working on MDF, and it's got two coats of house paint on it. And right now I'm doing my underpainting here with some burnt umber, a little bit of crimson, just because it looks good on the red. I think red is well, obviously red is my favorite support color to paint on, but lately I've been working a lot on the yellow ochre, and I really like that too. So um, there, you could. I think it's important to work on some sort of ground color. I like to have it completely filled in. Many people are content to sort of rub down a canvas or something like that. Whatever works, as long as you feel that you're happy. The main reason that I like to do that is so that it's very important with painting. There's a lot of things to keep straight, and you want your brushwork to be, you know, an example of you painting the scene, not you trying to perfect the scene. Okay, so having a bit of an expressive quality. That's in my case. Now I can tell you, if you look at the paintings up in the channel from like 2014, especially maybe the skies, you see sometimes I get a little twirly. I get a little affected with my brushwork. I gave up on that many years ago, and I think my brushwork looks really cool, um, especially if you zoom in on it. But I don't like to make a brushstroke where I go, that's a clever brushstroke. The brushstrokes are always there to serve the overall picture and to convey the scene. Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about pictures. Where I was talking about composition, and another way of saying composition is design. So now this is a study after John Francis Murphy Summertime. If you go into the channel, you can see I've painted Summertime a couple times before, maybe even 3 times. It was one of my favorite paintings by John Francis Murphy. It's chock-a-block with detail. Now I subsumed all the detail. I swapped out his sky. I simplified his shapes and patterns. I basically just made it mine. What I kept, though, was the basic center of his composition, where he has that large mass of trees, the distant mass of trees, and the path. And let's face it, and then you've got this field in the distance, which, absolutely chromicized and pumped up. But then again, I'm a modern with the advantage of, 100 something years of chromicized and pumped up art. But the tonalists were some of the first guys to go in there and really pump up the color, really get you into some chroma, really break out of just pure naturalistic effects and color. Yeah. Now, I think that's important because if you just looking out the window right now, I see a bunch of green. It's overcast, so I see a bunch of green. I can't see the sky, but I know the sky is gray. Sometimes the sky is blue and the clouds are gray and white. I am always trying to find ways to bring color in. In fact, in the grays, you, if you're painting blue skies, remember you have warm grays and cool grays. You could have fun all day long. And then I will tend to bring in little bits, like I like to bring in things like alizarin crimson to make some of the the whites and lighter grays, maybe a little pink. Or I'll bring in a burnt sienna, to bring in a subtle like oranginess. I bring in all sorts of colors. Oh, hey, we got an ad for the book coming up, and we shipped a few out this week, and I really appreciate people taking advantage of this painting resource because I think it's a very valuable one. I'm a big believer in books. I learned off of books, and the two books that I really learned off and that really informed us the most were Kevin McPherson's Fill Your Paintings with Light and Color, and Bob Rohm, Rohm. If you haven't heard of him, get his book. It's amazing. I'll get mine first. He's not painting tonalists, though. Okay, this is the thing. He's painting impressionists, and I had to adapt. So when I first started painting, obviously I was kind of working in a more impressionist way, and I was just doing my best to copy photos and paint, to be honest. And that's, when you're starting out, that's not a bad plan. Ultimately, though, that doesn't make for great paintings because most photos are going to need to be changed fairly significantly to provide, what is necessary to make a great picture. Yeah. Obviously, it is possible to make a great photo that's a great picture too, and people do it all the time. Um, which gets to kind of one of the things I want to bring up. So it's design, okay? You have to design your picture. You're using a photo or you're out painting en plein air. You have to design your picture. You have to look at the shapes. You have to make them all work together. And design, of course, works with the shapes and the values and the colors. But mostly when I think of design, I think of shapes and values. And by values, I mean sort of the limited approach to values that I'm doing in the underpainting here. Yeah. And from there, there's so many other things that really need to be lined up and done right. And again, values, but the secondary values, the transitions between values. And a great tip I picked up the other day is that it's good for one value to predominate and then to have a secondary value and then a very, very far distant third sort of accent sort of value. Yeah. That is a great tip, and I think I do a lot of these things intuitively. The other thing is, I saw a guy and he was talking about his big secret for making his paintings look good is that he will go in and kind of do a kind of monochromatic version of the scene quickly, where he establishes all the key values and then he comes in with color. And that's a great approach too. I think, in a sense, I kind of do that, but I don't see a real need to divorce the color from the value, But whatever gets your painting to look great, and his paintings do look great, he's doing an awesome job. And as you know, painting's not easy. Now from there, we got these edges, right? Oh my goodness! And that's one of the things that I've been playing around with some gouache. I was going to put a gouache one up, but and it's okay. I just I need things to be of a standard. And when you have mastery in one medium, it can be tough to go to another. And as a matter of fact, you might even ask yourself, why bother? But I do think it's good every now and again to stretch out and try different things. And that may amaze some of you who, uh, you know, know me for my consistency overall. Yeah. And I have to say this, I believe oil paint is the greatest art making medium. There's no way that something like gouache will be better. It's just very different, is what it is, and you can make wonderful art with either. This another book I've been reading because I've been kind of a little under the weather. The guy works with pastels, and he calls them paintings, and they are, I guess, But I don't know. I don't get pastel personally. To me, it just always looks unfinished, rough, and I have to ask myself, why bother? When you could just do it with oil paint. But I do know why people bother. They like that roughness. They like that it's actually drawn. We're drawing is kind of meeting painting, right? For me, I don't see that huge a difference between drawing and painting. I mean, as you can see, I did the drawing slash underpainting with a brush, and I'm doing the whole rest of the painting with a brush. And in a sense, it's really just drawing with color. I don't want to make it to be more than it is, The brush is your implement, and we changed the word from drawing to painting, but the activity is really the same, just more complex because instead of just dealing with, say, one value, you're dealing with a potential of multiple values, even within one stroke, and multiple colors too. So, yeah, it's one of the reasons I was employed doing art for 14 years before I became a landscape painter, and I was predominantly doing work in the digital realm. And now I was always a drawer, inker, you know, pen and ink guy, brush and ink guy. So I came to the computer as a way to color my artwork, and I did that for a long, long time. At one point, way back in the 80s, I got this idea in my head that I would like to be a landscape painter. I don't really know why. I think it's because I was a young guy and I really liked some of the landscape posters that would come in. I thought I even bought some for my apartment and would, spend time looking at them and enjoying them and going into them. And I think that's incredibly valuable. But what I was interested in drawing when I was a young guy was people, or dragons and monsters, and not so much tanks and things or mechanical things. I always liked drawing organic things. But that landscape thing did come around, and then of course, since I was steeped in the digital realm, I tried to do digital paintings of landscape, and I did a few that were okay. Now, what you see me doing here, that's radically different from he didn't go with that gold, and but to me, it's like we already got the big payoff of that light color in the sky, and now we've got a chromatic payoff with that grass in the distance. Now his is a little brighter, but it's kind of this pale lime green, where I just said, "Nah, we're going for it. Let's make it really handsome." And I'm so stoked with it. I think it was a really great decision. So, you got to experiment. You got to play. Here's what I recommend you do if you're a painter. Get yourself a bunch of boards, small boards. 5x7, I think, is the perfect size because it's not too small. I don't recommend these little 3.5 by 3.5s. Maybe throw a few of them in. Miniatures is kind of its own thing, but you can work at 5x7, 6x8. You could do a heck of a lot and not feel too cramped or constrained. Okay, now there's quite a bit possibility to feel cramped and constrained working 3.5 by 3.5 as I am here. But try that too. That my point is, this painting took me, a bit over an hour to do. Okay, and as it should. Now I also had a planning session in the digital realm, which may have been, frankly, as much as another hour. I don't really know. I don't keep track of it. And I don't really care because the painting will move through the ages. It doesn't matter how long the painting took. The reason I bring it up is that if you were to do one small painting a day, a 5x7 might take you a little more time, right? Maybe 2 hours. Okay, so you're awake for 16. You're going to spend two of those doing a painting. That would bring a lot of value to your life. And not only that, if you want to become a better painter, that would be the way to do it. Absolutely. Instead of sitting there plugging away on this thing you've been plugging away on for the last weeks, months, days, whatever, get a painting up on the easel, get that board toned, do your drawing slash underpainting, make your painting, put it aside, do another painting. That's my recommendation. Anyway, I can see we're at the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you. Please leave me a comment if you could. Likes, comments are all good. Subscribe too. Doesn't cost you nothing, my friend. And until I come back with another video for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble, and God bless you and your family. Fight the power.